What's up out there, people? Oh, make sure my mic's working. Yeah, it is. Jack Branch on the Healthy Wealth Show, number 27. We got a great guest today I can't wait to introduce you to. The whole goal of this Healthy Wealth Show is to highlight people in business, in faith, and in health that are doing some extraordinary things. And met this gentleman maybe 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. Hadn't done much offshore fishing. Really, my passion's been the shallow water stuff. But my friend Jerry Miller had fished with our guest today, and all I can tell you was blown away. Absolutely blown away. We didn't necessarily have the most spectacular day in terms of quantity, but in terms of fun and quality, it was really second to none. And for those of you that have listened and looked and watched these videos in Venice, you're going to really enjoy this guy today. And I'm really excited to introduce a friend of mine and fellow poker player and businessman, Mr. Peace Marvel. How you doing, Peace?
I'm doing great. Got my best friend sitting here with me. You get two pieces for one, senior and junior.
That's awesome. I know. So tell the folks a little bit about you. Obviously, you run Peacekeeper charters out of Venice, Louisiana. I know a lot of specialty is your swordfish and the real elite fish. But before you even got into this, tell people how you got fishing in your blood, if you will.
Well, I grew up with a pond in my front yard. I fished in the mornings before school. I mean, I just woke up every day just being driven to fish. Went to college, and then, any break that I had in college, I scheduled my classes around fishing the White River in northern Arkansas. I mean, I just was always driven to fish. And then I just traveled around the world and fished until I was 29 years old, and then decided to make it my career, and here I am today.
So tell us a little bit about how you picked Venice and what kind of lured you down to that part of the world.
Well, I got a brother that's 14 years older than I am, and he's had a boat and fished out of Venice since I was about 10 years old. And Venice was the place that I knew. It was the place that I had experienced growing up. First place I ever saw a tuna fish jump. First place I ever did really any offshore fishing whatsoever. So it was just kind of a natural place to me. I didn't really know any other place existed in Louisiana to go offshore. And, when you break it all down, there's a lot of other places you can go, but there's no place like Venice. I mean, that's the mouth of the largest warm water river delta in North America.
It's quite an estuary, isn't it, Peace?
Oh, it's incredible. It's the only place that you can catch a largemouth bass and a yellowfin tuna on the same day out of the same boat. The only place in the world.
Interesting. Yeah, it's been called the fish mecca, and I know there's been a lot of rebuilding since Katrina, and I know you're in the process of doing some stuff with new boat and all. But tell us about your family. You got 4 kids, 2 older daughters and 2 younger ones. Obviously
Yep.
You're a family man. Was that always that important to you, or you kind of did some growing up over the years?
Well, I mean, I didn't. I had my daughter when I was 29. So, I was 30. Now, I just turned. Yeah, I was 30 when I had my daughter. So, I sowed quite a few wild oats in my younger years, and that's not to say that I've finished sowing them all. I just get to sow them with my best friends now.
That's right.
So, I've taken my daughters. When they were younger, we traveled all around the country, and I've taken them fishing. They've been offshore. If you look at my Facebook page, my profile picture is this little man here sitting on a 220-pound swordfish.
Wow.
Back when he was, I guess you weren't quite 5. You were 2 months from being 5. You were 4.5. But that's all he was. He's been obsessed with swordfish too. And now I can't take him, brim fishing or sockeye fishing. He's like, Papa, when are we going to go catch another swordfish? When are we going to go catch another swordfish? So I spoiled him already.
And everyone seems to be going after the tuna, the yellowfin, and the snapper and such. But what really spurred you on? We titled this "The Innovator, Not the Imitator." Was it wanting to kind of do something different out of Venice, as you've always done? I knew you used to run a big fleet of boats, and then kind of got out of that after Katrina and simplified your life. What was it about swordfish that drew you in?
Well, actually, one of my competitors and a competitor and a friend who has since left the business, Scott Avanzino. He had been trying to catch a swordfish for 2 years and with no luck at night, fishing them at night. And then he and I got in an argument about something, nothing serious, just friendly. And I said, so I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Scott. I'm going to go catch a swordfish tonight. Because I was going out with some buddies just on a fun trip. Went out, set the baits. The first night I ever tried it, I went 1 for 7. And I have video of like a 250, 300 pounder in the lights next to the boat. And I'm telling you, something just clicked in my soul. And I mean, there was a point where when it was really hot, I was talking my customers into leaving the dock at 11, fishing for tuna and fishing for swords, and then coming in, like, we'd be in at like midnight, and I'd get up and do it again the next day. Because, and I was consistently catching them at night. Well, then, one of my customers, he's a world famous entomologist. He's fished all around the world. He'll go and study something and do all the fishing there. He was telling me, oh man, we caught one on the bottom during the day down in Venezuela. He's telling me how they used a 2-liter Coke jug as a float. And they said the float was standing up. He said, when the float laid over, they said, start reeling. And that's what they did. Well, so anyway, I decided to try it, one time. And the first day I dropped during the day, I went 3 for 3. And I was like,
with that technique, huh? With that, oh wow.
Yeah, with that technique, with a breakaway weight and then a secondary weight to hold it deep. And so I was like, wow, this is easy. This is great, blah, blah, blah. And the next day I caught 1. And then I did like 5 trips without catching one, without even getting a sniff or a bite or anything. So I learned that it wasn't as easy as I originally anticipated. And I was consistently catching them at night, so I just went back to fishing them at night. Well, then a couple of years ago, some guys from Lingram Pittman came down and showed some of the other captains how to catch them on electric reels during the day, which kind of sparked, and they started bringing a couple to the dock. So it became easier for me to talk my customers into going and doing it again. Because, they'll see them at the dock. I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, we can do that. I've done it, blah, blah, blah. And then the more I caught, the more people wanted to do it. The more people wanted to do it, the more I caught, and it just snowballed. I'm at 469 swords right now.
How many? Wow. And when was the first year that you caught that sword?
Well, I caught my first daytime sword, I think it was 2004. So 15 years ago. Caught my first sword ever, like 2003 maybe.
So what got you to bite in the blue water? I mean, you had a bunch of boats and you divested that, sold that company, and now you can tell the group about this new boat you're building. I can't wait to see it. But
oh yeah,
what led you there to the deep water?
Well, I mean, I always have pushed boundaries. I like to push boundaries. I like to see what's next, what's beyond, what's the next thing. And I think that's helped me as a fisherman, and it's helped me in a lot of other ways in my life. Not to say that it hasn't probably damaged some other things in my life as well, but the blue water, when my brother was having a boat and fishing out of there, we went out to the 7 Mile rigs one time to catch snapper, and on the way we saw 10,000 tuna jumping, and that was the first click in my soul, and I tried to get back to him ever since. I mean, since I was 10 years old, my sister's been calling me Tuna Boy. So, because I just obsessed about them. I'll get focused on something and then I'll just, do it 125%. So yeah, that's what really led me to the blue water, was that. And then the next step up from the yellowfin, is of course swordfish. I mean, they're the ultimate.
I tell you, the day we went just a few years ago, man, it was a bad day.
It froze up on me there. There you go.
The weather was bad and everything the day we went, but I tell you, it was amazing how you kept running and running and running to find the fish. A lot of guys would have just folded tent, said we're done, but I don't know how many miles you ran, but it was a lot. And
yeah.
And what I love most about the trip was that fisherman's prayer that you did before we came out. That was a nice little touch. Is that just something you came up with, being the innovator, or you heard somebody else and said, that's slick as owl shit, or what?
I actually just started saying it one day, and I just said it the next day. People thought it was entertaining. I just kept saying it and kept saying it, and now it's become a tradition.
And tell the people what the
Now
prayer is. Tell them before you get on it.
it's God, please forgive these people for the slaughter they're about to commit. Amen. And I say amen as I hit the throttles. So,
I love it. You know, if you're in South Louisiana and you don't fish or hunt, it's pretty boring.
there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all I have to say.
You know, and
I mean, nothing personal with those people, but yeah,
it was
something's
funny.
wrong.
I ran into Peace just a few weeks ago. We were playing in a poker tournament. I've not played much tournaments, but it's very intriguing. It's very much pressing the boundaries. And a lot of people think it's gambling more than it is mathematics. There is some luck to it, but what got you started in that a little bit, playing poker? Just had some downside and like the camaraderie and the competition?
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. I was always very good instinctually at the game. I mean, I always played well and always had fun doing it. And then, anyway, and I'd stopped playing. I just hadn't really played. I've been busy with other things for a couple of years. I didn't play at all. And then, there was a tournament, the WSOP coming up at, the IP in Biloxi. And I'm like, well, I'm going to go play that tournament, but this time I'm going to try to educate myself some, to be a little bit more of a student of the game. And so, yeah, I did that, and I've had some reasonable success. I'm certainly not hadn't won the main event at the World Series yet, but you never know. But yeah, but I love the game. I love strategy, and I tell people all the time, it's really a lot like sword fishing, because when you're day dropping for swords, you're on the surface and you're fishing a bait that's 1,000 feet down. I'm maneuvering that bait. I'm moving it. A lot of my maneuvering is guessing, because there's all kind of currents affecting that bait down there. And it's just strategically setting the bait up to present it to where the fish will eat it. And that's a lot like poker many times.
That's a great analogy. I love it. That is
It's really true.
analogy. And it is a good game. You know, it's gotten a lot of notoriety over maybe the last, I guess, since Moneymaker came in and wanted a guy that was
I played with him. I played with him this weekend.
Oh,
I
did
played
you?
with Chris this weekend. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I hear he's a great guy.
He is. He's nice as could be. I mean, if you saw him on the street, you'd give him $1.
Yeah.
So, he's a really good guy. There were a bunch of big names. I just got back from Tulsa, and there were a bunch of big names playing up there, but I did terrible.
It's okay. That's part of the game. Sometimes the bait presents itself and the fish are there, and sometimes you're the fish right on the other end. So it just depends. That's the beauty of that game, is you think you arrive, and then you arrive into somebody else that might be that speed chess player or that poker player, if you will, that just has a little bit more skill. So what's next for you? I mean, with the new boat, tell the people the new boat you're having done. I know that's exciting.
Oh yeah, I got a 40-foot Razorhead being built. It's a custom-built catamaran. It's built in New Iberia, actually. And I mean, we'll see. It's the culmination of everything that I've learned as a fisherman for the past. I mean, I've been in business 23 years. Been fishing for 23 years. And so I got to customize this boat, every little thing, and I'm really excited about it. I mean, we'll see, but I mean, she should do. I built a buddy of mine built one about 4 foot bigger, and his does 56. So I'm thinking mine should do 65, or at least up,
Wow.
low to 60s.
What kind of power are you putting on it?
I'm going with the Suzuki's. Yeah, it's over at Outcast Marine right now. They're putting the Suzuki's on it. Because of issues with the trailer, the boat's 5 weeks late. 5 weeks. I mean, you expect it to be a couple weeks late, but yeah, it's killed me. Thank God for poker, is all I have to say, because otherwise, it'd be me on the street asking for $1. But yeah, it's been pretty good to me so far.
So what is something no one knows about Peace? I know you're kind of an out there guy, so.
I don't normally tell people this, but I'm actually an alien. So I was born on another. No, I'm just kidding. Uh,
I was making sure you and Tom Cruise weren't hanging out.
Here's something interesting. I'm in my leisure time, I very often read and study quantum mechanics. I'm fascinated with and have done a lot of research, or I wouldn't call it research. I've done a lot of self-learning in the field of quantum mechanics, quantum gravity, quantum weirdness.
That's interesting.
Because I really think that I think it's going to bring us to a completely new understanding of our world. I mean, it already has. Pretty much all of the major technology that we use today, the technology we were using right now, is a direct result of what we've learned through quantum mechanics. And specifically, what I find interesting is quantum communication, which basically, all right, let's just say you take a piece of paper and tear it in half.
Okay.
You bring one piece to the moon and you put one piece on your desk and you write "hi piece" on that piece of paper and it appears on the other one at the same time. It's communication with no transfer, no space in between.
And who would have thought? Who would have thought we'd be doing that with these devices? It's
yeah. Yep. Well, but see, the thing with any other kind of communication, the signal, like this signal is traveling from here to there. Mm-hmm. It can be intercepted. With quantum communication, there's no travel between point A and point B because
they're the same.
This is part of quantum. What quantum weirdness is, the same particle can exist in two places at the same time. So the piece of paper that you're writing on your desk is actually the same piece of paper that's on the moon. I mean, that's a terrible explanation.
Interesting.
But
I
encourage people to check it out if they're interested in that at all, because it's pretty fascinating. So, yeah.
That's good stuff. So how do people find Peacekeeper? What's your Facebook page?
Of course, the Peacekeeper Charters. It's Facebook /Peacekeeper Charters. You can find me on there. I have a website, but to be honest with you, I haven't even looked at it in probably 8 years. I haven't updated it or anything. I haven't really advertised much. Most of my clientele is repeat or friends of repeat, like,
me and Jerry. Yeah, Jerry. Yeah, I would have never met you. And so I definitely encourage you folks. I mean, with all the stressors in the life, the financial pressures, health issues, whatever, get yourself on the water and make a trip to Venice, Louisiana. You will experience something like you've never experienced. I got to get a trip together with you again. Jerry and I need to get on this boat with you, Peace. And I appreciate your passion for helping people, number one, have a good time. And number two, doing stuff that others aren't really willing to do. Back to your boundary pushing. And, I look forward to seeing you at the poker table and definitely in that blue water, my friend.
Well, I look forward to it too. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure to see you. And folks, thank you for tuning in, where each week on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we're trying to interview folks to help you navigate the valleys of life. Life's tough. You get kicked in the teeth. You get kicked in the nuts. You get kicked in the shins. But it's really not about how you get kicked, but it's about how you get back up. And sometimes you need to get up by taking a friend or a family member down to Venice with my friend Peace Marvel. So we'll see you guys on Thursday. We're going to talk to a guy about why you should rent his space jumps here for kids' birthday parties. I'm sure Peace will be in that with the youngsters. Y'all have a great day, and we'll see you on the next video.